Hello. Here we are back on Blue Shift for another round one game. This time it is Data playing Zerg in the top right here against Goose playing Terran in the bottom left. So names up across the top, production tab in the top left. I don't know how much practice these guys have had. Goose, I'm pretty sure this is Angus, I think. And I know that he has been in bows once or twice, seeing what's going on and maybe practicing a couple of builds. So let's see what he's going to crack out. This is Data is Jake. I haven't seen him practicing at all, so I don't know if he knows what he's doing. I don't know if he's had any games under his belt. I'm a bit concerned that so far he isn't building anything, and as we've seen before, that is a surefire way to not win. So this worker is coming out, so perhaps he is contemplating doing a bit of scouting. Oh, turns out he's going to drop a hatch. Strange not to drop it here. That you might choose to take the slightly further away expansion sometimes, if you're then going to take this one more quickly, or if for whatever reason you're playing on a map sometimes with an expansion out the back. It's pretty common to take the one out the front because you can then take your third and defend it really easily. Normally it's harder to hold a third. Anyway, let's have a look at what's going on in the Terran base. We can see the barracks is building. We can see that there is gas coming down as well. Worker production has stopped. But only temporarily. There we see some workers in the queue. So both of these players with a little bit of a mineral bank at an early stage in the game. It is Data, however, that I'm a little bit worried about. A couple of overlords coming out here, so no danger of a supply block. Because at present, Data, you're not building any units. These larvae need to be turned into, well, initially workers to get that mineral income up. Here we've only got 10 workers mining. You start with more than that, and the reason that he actually has less than he started with is because Zerg work in a slightly different way. The workers become the buildings, so these little fellas literally turn into the new structures. So the spawning pool has cost a worker, the hatchery has cost a worker. So finally, some workers in production, and even more overlords being made. A little unnecessary at present, but the spawning pool is the key thing here. The spawning pool is the most basic sort of production structure for the Zerg, and allows them to build Zerglings. And you can take over the world with Zerglings if you're fast about it and if you have enough of them. So as this finishes up, I'll just show you metabolic boost. Here is the go-to upgrade. That's the upgrade that you just, if you're playing Zerg, that you just kind of get automatically. It goes without saying that you're going to get speed for your Zerglings. You just kind of, it's part and parcel of your early build. Even if you're not planning a particularly Zergling heavy composition in the game, you're always going to have some, and this is an absolutely crucial upgrade. But it does require 100 gas, and only now we see one worker being transferred to the gas. I am a little concerned for Data though. I'm not sure that he knows what he's doing. So second rack's being built by Goose, and there is an engineering bay that will allow upgrades and also allows him to build turrets. One marine so far. There are others, up to in production, so 3 army supply total. And interestingly, Data has actually now taken the army supply lead with these lings that he's got. So its supplies worth of lings actually represents 16 lings. Lings are only half a supply each. They're kind of small and disposable. And these 2 queens being built as well. A queen is 2 supply, so between the queens and the lings in production, there's now quite a substantial army supply discrepancy here, which is kind of interesting. So over on the Terran side of the map, what Goose, as he may or may not be aware, needs to be doing is getting these workers back to doing what they do best, and that's mining minerals. Each one of these workers is bringing you an income. You've at present only got 11 mining minerals, and you've got 3 standing idle, so that's potentially an extra 25% or slightly more income that you could have that you don't have just because they're standing doing nothing. However, what you do have is a reasonable beginning to be a reasonable number of Marines. The reactor coming down on this second barracks allows Marines to be trained 2 at a time. So you can start to eat into this pretty substantial bank. You can see though, like even with this queue, you still got lots of money. So you know, what do you do about that? How do you avoid having lots of money? The key is you've got to have the ability to spend it as quickly as you're making it, and in order to do that, you simply need to build more barracks. You know, so I've mentioned it before. I don't like to see a large queue. I don't mind a bit of a queue. You know, it depends on the sort of stage of the game. Certainly early in the game, when you're teching up, when you're building your production structures, when you're getting up and running, there should simply never be queues, and there should never really be a bank. There's plenty of things for you to be spending your money on, and plenty of structures that you could be getting instead of queuing units up. So factory comes down with the tech lab. That will allow production of siege tanks. The expand is up as well and just starting to mine. So let's have a little look at the income tab. It's actually not crazily skewed one way or the other. The term with a slightly higher income than the Zerg. This army supply is beginning to stack up for the Zerg player, and he did in the end get that metabolic boost. You can see that the Lings themselves gain sort of wings here. If I just zoom in on a Zergling, come here you. There they go, winged Zerglings. Yeah, pretty ugly. Anyway, that does make them move substantially faster, and you can see how nippy these things are. You know, we don't seem to have very many Zerg players, and that's a real shame. Zerg certainly adds a bit of flavour to the game. Lings are great for map control and things like that. They're very, very fast units. One of the things you want to be doing, you know, they're squishy units. They're only half a supply each. That, you know, if you send them in to try and fight this bunker, they won't do fantastically well, but they move so quickly. What you can do is just grab these, right click the middle of the mineral line here, and they will run straight past this bunker. Yeah, sure, you'll lose some on the way. Maybe you'll lose 4, maybe you'll lose 6, maybe you'll lose 8. It doesn't really matter. Look how many of them you've got. You will still get 16 Zerglings into this mineral line, and you'll be amazed at just how quickly they just vanish, these SCVs, and do all sorts of economic damage. Of course, as we've seen, or at least as I've seen previously in round 1 in the AMS League, sometimes economic damage actually isn't that effective because players quite often have these enormous mineral banks. But in general in StarCraft, it's what you're aiming to do. So a single Marine wanders up here to have a little peek at what's going on. So if we have a look from Goose's point of view, he hasn't seen much. He saw some Lings, he saw the Queen at the top of the ramp. He doesn't know about these just yet, and oh my goodness, I have got to go. I might be able to come back in a minute and finish this.